Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power of Possibilities. And that was our new little intro video that I put together, so it was a little bit more fitting for the work that Heather and I do. But welcome, welcome, welcome. My name's Setala. I'm the Sonic Shaman and a CFMW of Access Consciousness. And here with me, I have Heather MacMillian, who's a certified facilitator. How are you doing today, Heather?
Oh, I am so excited. That video was like, wow, I love it. So much fun.
Yeah, it is so much fun. And Ernie Bentz is already on strong words left about power versus potency. Yeah, Ernie, I haven't seen you in a while, but I haven't been doing my morning streams and sometime because I had so many like access classes. It was like 20 days straight of classes, and I am going to get back into the swing of it now that the kids are done with school and all that. So you can look forward to my Coffee Connects in the morning as well. But today is power versus potency, because in access speak, we have very different definitions of what these things are, and some people are very resistant to power and things, and it really could be just a clarification on words. So where do we start, Heather? Just kind of, well, yeah, I'll ask you, where do we start?
Well, I mean, what does power even bring up for people when we see this word? I mean, power in this reality is a lot of what we see where I live here in Washington, D.C. People, power over each other, winning, proving, all these things that so many of us who are the seekers of the world, those that actually desire a world of happiness and peace and possibility and joy, are like, wow, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I would wonder, where have you decided that someone has more power than you?
Right, because one big thing in Access, especially the Talk to the Entities class, is the most powerful entity in the room is you.
Truly, truly. Yeah. And that's the key with dealing with all beings in bodies, or as Hank referred to, entities, beings without bodies, is recognizing that everything that shows up in your life is because of a choice that you've made and are making, and because of the thoughts and points of view that you have. And the great news about that, the totally amazing and empowering thing about that, is that you can choose different and create a different result. And that's what all of Access Consciousness is about, empowering you to know that you know.
Yeah, and another thing with the topic of power that Dr. Dain brings up, who's one of the co-founders of Access Consciousness, is that the only being in the world powerful enough to stop you is you.
Yes, 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 yes. I love that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I think people, because the idea of potency, that's like the potency. It's like the energy behind the drive of the choices that you're making. It's like the declaration of your will into the universe. But because we shy away from power and kind of misidentify the two, because here's a trigger that a lot of you probably identify with, is absolute power corrupts absolutely. And like, where are we not willing?
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, my God.
I should say that 3 times,
yes,
right? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Oh my gosh. All the secret, hidden, invisible, covert, unseen, unsaid, undisclosed, and unacknowledged stuff, creating that as a reality. And everywhere we've aligned and agreed and resisted and reacted to that point of view, can we destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. And wow. Whoa.
And for those of you, we always give the website. So for those of you who don't know what we just did, that's called the Access Clearing Statement. And you can find out more about it at theclearingstatement.com. There's a video that kind of takes a deeper dive, but you don't need to understand any of it for it to work.
Exactly. Know that it's the magic of the universe, that when we use that power to create a greater possibility, what's actually possible.
Absolutely. And a lot of us, because we see people who we view as powerful doing what we call abusing power, we then decide that, well, that's a dangerous thing to have. And we don't allow ourselves to step into our own power as an infinite being, and our own power as having the ability to actualize the life that we truly desire. And we just don't fully show up. Like I think Dain says, like most people are running at a very small percentage of actually stepping in to who they are. But the more you can actually be you, you can't help but be more potent, because you're congruent with the totality of you. And then things just become ease, because it's like all the cylinders are firing together when you can actually step into being you. There's no hard around that. It's all just ease.
And what's your favorite book on that topic, Hank?
Oh, the favorite book. My favorite book is Being You, Changing the World by
Yes.
Dr. Dain Heer.
Yeah, and check that out, you guys. It's an amazing book. And there was just a celebration almost a month ago. I can't believe it's been a month. On May 22nd was the first Being You Day. And that video is out on YouTube. You can check it out. All the amazing conversations around what is it really to be you.
Yeah, and if you want more information too, I'm going to post a link. This is a video that I did back on May 22nd on International Being You Day. I did a live stream called International Being You Day, and I kind of talked about the inspiration of the day, and I went over the tools that Dain gave for the day itself. There was very specific things that you could do to get the most out of the day, and I will post that video, and you can take a look at that, and I go over all that. And let's see, there's a question of somebody saying, "Hi guys, you're in the Facebook group, and unless you click that we can see you, then you just have to be the mysterious Facebook user." But thank you so much for joining
Hello.
us.
Yeah. What can we contribute? What can we create with this conversation?
Absolutely. And what would it take for people to really step into their potency without judging them for that? And I even caught myself with my kids. It's not, sometimes anger is misidentified as potency, because people can really have a lot of energy behind something and they can come off as over the top. But really, that's the energy of that momentum that's needed sometimes to actualize things into your reality. Oh, it's Dr. K. Hello, Dr. K.
Hey, Dr.
Thanks for
K.
joining us.
Hey, how does it get better? Yeah, I mean, what occurs for so many of the seekers of the world, as Hank was referring to with his kids, is that, how many times were you really you'd had enough with something and you were like, this has to change. And that's everywhere anyone ever accused you of being anger for that could create a place where you're like, whoa, I'm not supposed to be this.
Yeah. And I can relate to this most notably when I've been sober like 13 years, and I can recall the day that I made a turn and actually started getting better. It was this energy of a demand. It's not like they say, asking you shall receive. It's more the energy of, it is your declaration of your will to the universe of what you're choosing to create for yourself. And the only answer to that is yes. It's not like a kid asking parents, can I have chocolate? Yes or no. It's your decree to the universe. This is what I'm choosing. Bring it. And the universe says, here you go. And then the question just becomes, well, how much of a role can I play towards getting that to actualize instantly with ease? But so often we aren't willing to be that. But I remember the night that I had my last drink, I just had this decree to the universe, like, something must change. If I don't change, I'm going to die. And I said, and it was just kind of like, contribute to me, was the energy of it. And the next day, everything changed. And there was just this turning point. And we can all have that if we're just willing to be congruent with our body, being, and beyond, and demand to the universe, this is the life that I like to create.
Yeah. I mean, what would it be like? What question could we ask that would allow us to have and be more of that?
What question could we ask?
I know.
And speaking of questions, everyone, if there is a particular comment that you have or a question that you have related to today's topic, or an example that you would like some clarity around or anything like that, comments and interaction is welcome. There are some pages that we're streaming to that do not roll through to the studio, but there is a link to the YouTube page for sure. I can see it from there. We can see it on the Emergency Being Facebook page or my Twitter account, or my personal profile. If you're on one of those, we can see your comments, no problem. Or the Holistic Health and Healing Facebook group. We can see all that. Anywhere else, we might not see it come through. We're not ignoring you. We just can't see your comments. But what questions might you have, or what comments do you have that might let us go down a rabbit hole possibility?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what that whole conversation, like, of, what have we decided is potency or power that isn't, or what have we decided that it is? What would it be like if you were actually being you, and what would that look like?
Yeah, and one big thing with us, with being taught to be you, how oftentimes were our parents saying, now tone it down a bit. What are the neighbors going to think? We're taught at such a young age, could you be you just a little bit less? And I've made it a point in the last couple weeks since we were streaming the International Being You Day, I go to my kids and I'm like, could you be a little bit more you? And just playing with it. And it's really created this lightness. There's like less resistance. And like, could I be more me? Like when, especially when they're driving me absolutely insane. And that moment of like, could you be more you? And usually it sounds counterintuitive, but it shifts something. And even if they're doing the same activity in that moment, maybe it's just me acknowledging that they're just being, and it's not going to have the same charge on it as it did a second ago, because I'm acknowledging for them being them, which gives them the space to step into a different possibility with how I interact with that.
Wow, what a beautiful gift. I mean, what would it be like if every kid in the world grew up with that? Someone in their lives, and, you know, to be surrounded by people who actually were encouraging them to have and be all of them. Wow. I mean, what would the world look like?
It would be an amazing world, which is one cool thing for people who don't know about access consciousness. All children, 16, I think under 16 actually, they can take access classes for free, because Gary Douglas says children are the ones that are going to fix this world and allow the world to recover and have like prosperity and be able to thrive again and all that. So they really look at children as they are the ones that are the doctors of the world, the wizards of the world. I think Dain calls them the wizards, right? Earth wizards.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that's a really cool thing to check out for those of you guys that would like to contribute to the planet, receive some really amazing content, is the Earth Wizards. It's I believe it's on the Actions for Futures website.
And I actually got the link from Facebook too. I can put
yay.
there.
Yeah. And there's been Dr. Dain Heer has put out some really amazing stuff with that. There was a big ESB session. So yeah, it's really some beautiful things if you'd like to have more communion with you and with the planet.
That was the New Year's ESC, right? That you're referring to?
No, there was a big ESB session for Earth Wizards. It was really wow.
Well, two things to create context. ESC is energetic synthesis of communion, if I'm remembering it right. Mm-hmm. And the one that I was just inspired about, that Heather was talking about these, and I just went to a different place. At New Year's, there was one, I believe we listened to it in the foundation class, where it was really about us and having a communion with the earth. And then beyond that, he has this Earth Wizards group that has all this additional information and things about being with the planet, and apparently an ESC just for the Earth Wizards. Now, do people have to be a bars facilitator or a bars practitioner to be part of Earth Wizards, or is it open to anyone?
I believe it's open to anyone. You can check it out and on the Actions for Futures website and get into the Facebook group and just engage and check it out and see. And that book that Hank and I were talking about, Being You, Changing the World by Dr. Dain Heer, is a really great way to explore the tools of access consciousness as well. And one of the conversations in that book, and, you know, throughout Access, is, you know, what if potency is really different than we've decided it is? Because someone being totally present with no judgment and no point of view is an incredible potency. And that was something I was wondering about this morning when I was in the woods. I was like, wow, what would it be like to have a world where there was no judgment?
I have a hard time even imagining that. Everywhere we can't imagine that, to start and create that.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. And I had the amazing gift of, when I returned from this time out in nature, of running bars. And Access Bars is one of the most amazing ways to step into that energy that is beyond the right and wrong, the good and bad, all the polarity. And it's that space of infinite possibilities. And what would it take to have so much more of that? Because it's such an amazing gift to the body and the being.
And no matter where you are in the world, if you go to accessconsciousness.com and look up events, there's bars clinics happening all over the place. Here locally in Ohio or Cleveland, we do it on the first Thursday of the month. We have a bars clinic. So for like a love offering, you can get a 20 to 30-minute bar session. You can find out about that
Wow.
at emergenceofbeing.com. And if you happen to be a practitioner of Access, on the third Thursday, we have a practitioner only swap night where it's not just bars. We might be doing facelift sessions or MTVSS. There's like over 60 plus, probably even more than that, energy processes and Access. Bars is just one of the many.
Yeah. There's so many amazing things to play with. And for me, it's been such a gift of, you know, no requirement to align and agree or resist and react. I mean, what if that space is also an amazing potency, a choice that we have available of being allowance, being interesting point of view, where whatever that point of view is or whatever the reaction is, it just flows around us and moves on, and it doesn't have any impact on us at all. That's an incredible space of potency.
And to give an example where allowance can really create change for other people around you, there's this saying: for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's physics. So if
Uh-huh.
someone's coming at you with an energy, this is what's happening. You're in like in a fight with them. If you're resistant to reacting, or if you're going with them, you're getting washed downstream in a sense. But if you just hold the space of allowance, there's no fight anymore. It allows them to fall into a different space. It allows them to be able to have a different possibility because there is no fight. There's only choice now, because people want
Yeah.
to justify being right or wrong or whatnot. And when you take that away because you're just an allowance, it gives them the possibility of choosing something different.
Yeah, I love that. And then we can choose, well, okay, well, what would I like to create here? And if I was actually being me in this situation and with this person, what would I choose? What would I create?
Ooh, and that brings up the whole word of creationship. This is like a buzzword in Access. There's even a book, Relationships, Are You Sure You Want One, right? But there's like this idea that, relationships is kind of the duality thing. It's like where we have to be in reaction to each other. But if you're in the kingdom of we, it's a creationship thing. So instead of figuring out who you are in relationship to people, what really could you create in response or with everybody else around you? It's a whole different energy because you're empowering everybody to be themselves instead of having to fit into a limitation of duality about who you relate to and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't matter who the people are. Everybody has a medicine or an energy for this world. And once you are in the space of kingdom of we, you can really be like, well, what could I create with the gifts and contribution this person has to offer? And that's where we can really exponentially start to change things.
Yeah, and I'm so much of where, I mean, Access has so many brilliant tools for just people, relationships of all different sorts. And, allowance is that key there, because then we can actually have that presence to ask, okay, well, what is this? And what do I do with it? Can I change it? How do I change it?
And Heather, we didn't talk about it before. I'm going to remind everyone now is a great time to ask
Yes.
questions or
What
make
questions
comments.
do you guys have? What can we
But
contribute to you today?
but the other question is, or the question I forgot to ask you before we went live, how long were we planning to stream? We didn't really talk about it because we're at like the 18-ish minute mark. So I know Wednesdays we
Wow.
do a little bit of a shorter stream on Wednesday mornings. If we even still, well, we'll see if that still feels fun because I
Yeah.
know you kind of liked when we were on last Friday. It was a little bit later, but how late do we want to stream? I guess part of
Yeah.
it depends if you guys ask questions, because if you ask a question, we could probably go indefinitely as long as people ask questions.
Well, I'd say if we could wrap up by noon, that would be great. Noon Eastern,
Cool.
10 more minutes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you have about 10 more minutes. And well, I'll wait till the end of it to prompt. We have a couple other topics already planned, and we will let you know what those are going to be. But this upcoming week, we're going to be on a little bit more frequently than just once a week because we do have a class coming up. Heather is
Yay.
starting to facilitate, starting on the summer solstice, because like what better time to start change in your life than on the solstice, where you have the longest day of the year and the greatest potency with the summer and all that.
Wow.
But oh, did you
Wow.
Yeah,
We just picked
you did
that date,
realize
like we just picked that date really arbitrarily, and now it's
we
like,
did.
oh, that's so fun.
Oh, the shaman in me loves it. It really, technically, the solstice energy happens, I guess, the night before at like really late, at like 11:58, which makes no sense to me because it's dark. But I'm not an astrologer per se. But we're going to be doing it on Monday, and it's a 10-day class where for an hour each day there's going to be a Zoom call. They're all recorded, so you don't have to worry about having to be live on every call.
Live,
But
yeah.
I encourage it because you can ask questions live. But it's all the How to Become Money workbook, and it's not about money per se. It's about the energy of money and how to step into that energy of allowance and receiving. And I guess you should actually sum it up. What if you had to sum it up in like a sentence or two? What is the How to Become Money workbook, and what makes it really relevant for people, and how can it change their lives?
Well, the How to Become Money workbook is by Gary Douglas, and it is a book he actually channeled many years ago. And it has a lot of amazing tools of access consciousness in it. So it's not just about money. You could actually apply the tools in this book to create anything that you'd like to have in your life or change anything. And really, what would it be like to have total ease with money, whatever that looks like for you?
Ooh, because that is a good thing to make note of. One of my teachers would always say, "Don't compare yourself to others." And what if you look and see what money is for somebody else, and by comparing that, be like, "Well, I don't want anything to do with that." That's like one of these energy things that creates these glass ceilings where we're not willing to receive more in our own lives because we've aligned and agreed with or have some sort of point of view about somebody else's relationship or experience around money. What could it mean to you? And I love asking the question: Can you change the world more with money or without money? So as you step into being you and you discover your authentic voice and your unique medicine gifts in this world, would you be able to deploy and get more change in the world with or without money? And that's where, like, taking the stigma off of money is a bad thing. Money is a tool that could
Yeah,
help you reach way, way, way more people and be able to be a contribution to more people.
totally. I mean, that's one of my favorite questions to ask. And it's actually from the Advanced How to Become Money workbook, which is another book from Gary Douglas and the Tools of Access Consciousness. Is if I had X amount of money, whatever that is, what would I actually create with it? Because that's an energy. And it's, oh, that's more real to me as one of the seekers of the world. It's like so many of us, how many of you guys watching this, it's like money, whatever, uh changing the world. Okay, now that's a little bit more exciting. What would I like to create with it? Oh, way more exciting.
Yeah, and I forgot what book what was it, but they were talking about like if you actually plan like what you're going to spend your money on, you push it further out. Was that Right Riches for you, or was that I don't remember what book it was. It was like very counterintuitive thing because like you're functioning from a conclusion, but if you're like, what energy could I change in the world? That's like an energy of action instead of like a finiteness of a thing you can have or something like that. If I remember the energy right, I might be misquoting it a little bit.
Well, the key thing here is energy, and that's what I've gotten out of going through the How to Become Money workbook so many times is really getting at the energy of it, because so many of us have defined money as one thing, like money is numbers in a bank account, or money is land, or money is my income from a job. Well, what if money is that and so many other things? What is actually possible beyond all the definitions of money that you've ever had.
Awesome. A couple comments we had. I think this is probably Dr. K again, but I don't know. Mysterious Facebook user. But we often want others to be different. And Ernie was offering that money is the currency of energy. Like money is just a label of an energy, really. And
Mhm.
it's way, to others' point, it's like way far beyond. And like, if you were just like if you're any sort of energy practitioner from Reiki or IET, whatever it is, we have all these energy flows. And when you start to run on energy of like Reiki or something like that, people can perceive it so easily. But then it will all of a
Yeah,
sudden be like, now run the energy of money, like we shut down because we are programmed with all these points of view about all these things money is or isn't. And oh, here's one from Heather. I just was thinking about it. If you were just an entity and you didn't have a body, would you need money?
yeah, exactly. And what could having more ease with money contribute to your body?
Yeah, because the money, all it really does is help out the body in this existence. And that was Dr. K. She's like, yep, it was me.
Yay.
And Dr. K is actually in the class with us, so we're gonna. I know.
Yay. So much fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but it's gonna be. This will be like I think my third one with you actually. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have it memorized before too long. But if that's light for everyone, I have the website up now about where you can find out more information. And even if it's not this class, at the very bottom it says find out more about Heather. And if you click that link, it will take you to Heather's profile page and access, and it has a list of all the stuff she offers. Because she does a lot of classes out of the Maryland area, of course, because that's where she lives. But she does like
Yes.
facelift classes. We're talking about bringing her out to Cleveland in October for a Talk to the Entities course, which is one of my personal favorites. And I'm going to get pages up for all that. So if people are interested, you can sign up just to get an email notification of when the class is officially rolled out and offered. But we would love to get a nice excitement and buzz around that, because that is my favorite class. And teaching it at Halloween, like how does it get any better than that? When the veil is the thinnest, right? Being able to communicate.
Yes. Oh my gosh, how much fun can we have with all of this? I am so excited.
Oh, Amber was saying, sign me up for the October class. And no joke, like I told Heather that Talk to the Entities is kind of like a modern contemporary, and this isn't even doesn't do it any justice, but it's like a modern day contemporary approach to mediumship, taking out all the trauma and drama. And it's like the
Totally.
simplest things. It's communication, clearing, and contribution done, and like tools in order to facilitate through that. And it's like it's an amazing thing. I have more stories, but we'll save it for another stream because we're already tangenting and derailing. But it's 2 minutes to the hour. So last call, truly last call. If you have a question, if you have a comment that you'd like to contribute, speak now or wait till the next stream.
Yes.
No, actually, you could also comment. There's a little fly flying around. I just tried to catch it, but I missed. But anyway, that's random. But if you are catching this on a replay, you can always make a comment and just tag me or tag Heather, because sometimes we're going to so many different destinations, it's easy to miss a comment. But if you have a question or something you'd like to see on a future stream, make sure you tag myself and or tag Heather, and we'll make sure to either answer the question on a future stream, or if it's a juicy enough question, we can make an entire stream dedicated to that topic. Which reminds me, we have a couple topics ready to go. So over the next couple days, you're going to be seeing us doing Change Your Thoughts. Oh, let me take the banner down because you can read it. Change Your Thoughts and you can change your world is going to be one of the topics. And then we got Money. Can you change the world more with or without it? As like a whole deep dive into just that. And then here's my favorite: Money, friend or foe. And like I just love the way that she's like looking at it sneakily. And then lastly, these are all money related, of course, because we got the money class coming up, but then also how to become a money magnet. And also just remember, it's just about the energy. Don't think about it being the currency, because it's way more than that. Just look at how many currencies we have. If it wasn't just an energy, like it would each be its own thing, but it's all just an energy. I can't see what Ernie said. He said, tag, you're it. Okay. I appreciate your very punny jokes, Ernie. I love it. Any final thought? A final clearing?
Ooh, yes. Well, so what have you decided power is that it isn't? And everything that is will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And who or what have you decided has more power than you? And all that is. Ow. As I'm here in Washington, D.C., everything that is will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
And throwing this out there just for a moment, think about what world would we live in if, like, with Access, every year they literally recreate it. They have a class called Global. They rewrite the manuals. They find out what questions have been coming up in people's worlds. What if, instead of the government being designed that it takes generations to change, which is how it's designed, if every year they could destroy and uncreate the government? Like literally recreate the government for the purpose, like whatever's showing up in the world, what would create the most, and actually change, because change happens all the time, and most of the governments are set up to go at a snail's pace. What would it be if they could actually keep up with what the needs are of the planet and of the population and all the people that are here, with or without bodies?
I know. I love that. And wow, that just brought up so much. And FYI, the new manual is out. So it's so exciting, from the Global Foundation. That was a few weeks ago. So that is out in the world. And I wonder what that's going to create as that's unleashed. And, you know, to what you just said, Hank, like, what would it be like if people, you know, that were running the government or, you know, big corporations were actually functioning from a question of, you know, what is this choice going to create as a future?
Yeah. Because all of us have worked in the corporate world, you all know that there's some people like, well, why are we changing? We've always done it this way, but there really is a need for the change. And if we could just
Yeah.
be in that fluidity of being able to morph with whatever the changing world is, we would have way more ease, joy, and glory. Because if you're going, it's not about going with the flow, but being in the state of allowance for the changing world around you. You're not in that fight of trying to keep it the same or trying to create something not conducive to what is showing up in the world. And it just brings way more ease and creates way more possibility, not just for you, but for everyone. Because even though it's a kingdom of me, we are functioning in the kingdom of we.
Yeah. I mean, and what would it be like to have less fighting to be right in the world, that polarity that we were talking about, that right or wrong or good or bad, and more of actual question. Okay, well, what is this really? And what would create the most for everyone?
Definitely. And with that, we will be on again tomorrow. Not sure what time yet.
Yay!
We're
Thank
going to
you
talk
guys
after this
for
and we're going to plan a
watching.
time, but we will be on with one of the topics that we just showed you tomorrow. But until then, take care and stay aware. Bye.